So Media Matters, the progressive hack farm that spends most of their time belly aching over Fox News and was founded by a coke fiend and someone who also employed people who illegally carried firearms into Washington, D.C., made a new hire. It's a fact checker to check facts. Now, one would assume that a fact checker has some history of getting facts correct, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to hire someone as a fact checker if their greatest claim to fame was getting something wrong specifically because they didn't do any fact checking first, right? You would think, but that's not how Media Matters works. Talia Lavin tweeted recently, "I'm delighted to be joining Media Matters next week as a researcher on far-right extremism and the alt-right, part of a brand new team. I'll be working full-time with some of the smartest, most passionate people in media right now, and I'm psyched." Well, okay, great. Talia, congrats on the job. Are they ever going to let y'all unionize? But I'm wondering, did she ever apologize for helping to perpetuate the lie that the tattoo on this ICE agent was Nazism? Because a simple fact check might have helped her avoid that mistake. See, ICE actually had to do it for her. Justin Gartner is a combat-wounded U.S. Marine. He continues to serve his country as an ICE computer forensics analyst, helping solve criminal cases, rescue abused children. This is what ICE had to put out. The tattoo that was shown on his arm was a symbol for his platoon while he fought in Afghanistan. And this guy almost had his entire rep ruined because the fact checker that Media Matters just hired can't check facts. Joining me now to talk about this, RedState.com front page editor Brandon Morse. Brandon, good to see you. Thank you for joining me. So yeah, that's kind of a big, see, if I was hiring someone as a fact checker, that would disqualify that person for the job in my estimation. But it's a bonus, I think, for Media Matters. Your thoughts on this?
No, Media Matters. No, she's perfect for Media Matters. Are you kidding me? The same people who decided that they want to basically mischaracterize anything anybody says on the right all the time. They did it to Pat Gray and Stu Burguiere in 2010. They continued that all the way to 2018 when they were claiming that Sean Hannity was telling everybody to under the Mueller investigation to destroy any of their data devices. He was actually doing the exact opposite, but that didn't matter to Media Matters, who loves to cut out facts and stuff just to make that one little bit seem like it was damning. They even did it to me while I was talking to Grant Stinchfield on this very network when they were trying to make it seem like I was a giant racist. Oh, yeah.
Do tell.
Oh, well, you know, we were talking about Kanye and his comments about, you know, how the black community and the Democrats think that they own the black community. And like Maxine Waters was going in there and telling people, hey, next time Kanye says something like that, somebody should go in and correct his behavior and make sure he doesn't say things like that anymore. That kind of Orwellian crap. And I was kind of speaking out about that, and Media Matters wanted me try to make it seem like I was saying that the black community has an enslavement mentality when it comes to the Democrats. So, you know, trying to make it seem like, you know, I was saying the black community were basically stupid and under control. So, you know, that's the kind of things that Media Matters does. So it doesn't at all surprise me.
They had a headline about me one time where they canned it. They ended up, I think, pulling the story, but this was back, I think, 2012. State of the Union address for President Obama, and he was talking about how the Department of Defense was going to be involved in green energy, and this was right. And then he got into how NASA was going to have a Department of Muslim Outreach, and I made an observation on Twitter that if we're going to have departments that are going to be opposite for what they're doing, then we should create a Department of Muslim Outreach and make that about space exploration. And the Media Matters headline was Dana Loesch says, "Let's shoot Muslims into space." It was actually my desktop background for a long time. I didn't even come remotely close to saying anything like that. So I mean, they go above and beyond ridiculousness. So you know what? Maybe you're right. She will fit in there quite well. But doesn't that this is sort of the culture that I think Media Matters has contributed to, this culture of ultra-tribalism in journalism. This isn't, they act like this ombudsman for media, but they're not, because they don't fact-check the progressive left. They only target anyone who they oppose. If it's people who are pro-gun rights or people who support the Trump administration or anyone that they think is on the right, be they libertarian or independent, they'll go after those individuals, and with super false headlines, they try to get people fired. They try to ruin lives. They're an activist outlet. So what does an activist outlet need a fact checker, Brandon?
Well, let's remember. I mean, like the whole entire thing was started by David Brock, who the New York Times itself labeled a Democratic operative to counter the Media Research Center. And let's remember that Media Matters for the longest time was writing leftist headlines, not just for their own website, but for every other website. They were coordinating with the Obama administration. This is factual. And so they kind of made a name for themselves as this kind of go-to group for the narrative for the left. So, yeah, they're going to retain that kind of popularity over time. But the problem is that, no, I mean, they have been demonstrably disproven over and over and over again. It doesn't matter, though. They don't have to come back and be like, well, we're sorry and stuff like that. They have an entire media that will cover for them. They can just ignore their own mistakes. You even see their leader coming in and defending the lies that they tell and then not responding after that whenever he is called out. They don't care. This is just part of the leftist media.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of, that's when they go at you, I think it's always a sign that you're over the right target whenever they start writing those crazy, insane headlines that they never correct, even when proven wrong. Oh, and then David Brock, of course, the Daily Caller, the expose on Media Matters wherein his bodyguard was bringing in illegally a firearm into Washington, D.C., for which he got in trouble. And then there were all of the stories about the cocaine. So I don't know that I trust a website founded under those circumstances. Brandon Morse, always so good to see you. Have a great weekend. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.